Yeah.
What's good, everybody? It's Randall, the digital landlord. I own a blog called digitallandlordlifestyle.com where I teach individuals to build, rank, and rent websites. So if you want to know a little bit more about the process, you can go ahead and visit the website. It's pretty straightforward. You simply just pick a niche, pick a city, build a website, rank it, rent it, and then just repeat over and over. And you'll have monthly cash flow coming in. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be going over 25 rank and rent questions. These are questions that I got from all over the interwebs, including Facebook and YouTube. And, some of them are pretty common. Some of them are a little bit more in depth. So let's just get right into it. Oh, and in case you're interested, just go check out the blog. It's right here, digitallandlordlifestyle.com. I've got some recent income from the past few months here as well. Just so you know, I really do this business. Here is a screenshot of 350 weekly deposits on autopilot. And that client just ordered 6 other cities. In fact, he ordered cities not at 275, but 375. And then here's a good old client right here that's paid me $300 a week for the past 58 weeks, grossing me $17,000. And I run a 90% profit margin. So you do the math there, things are looking good. So yeah, check that out. If you get a chance, let's get right into the questions here. All right, so question numero uno says, should you create an LLC to cover your business? Is it even necessary? Now, first of all, right out of the gate, I am not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I don't claim to be one. And I always recommend you go seek legal advice anytime you have any questions about these sort of things. But in terms of this process, for informational purposes only, no, you don't necessarily need a business right out of the gate. I typically follow a rule. In fact, I do this in all of my businesses. I just wait till I produce some type of income first, right? Now, there could be an argument that even though you may not be producing income, that you still may need to have that business in case of lawsuit or something like this. That's certainly an argument. But really, I guess what this boils down to is if you have money to do it, yes, do it. If you don't have the money or you're getting started and you rather put your money, the little pennies you have scraping together, into the business, then yeah, you're going to want to use that to build your business first, but it's not a necessity. In fact, I've never had anybody ask me what my company name was or anything like that. So if you're asking from terms of validity or, just showing that you're a legitimate business, it doesn't happen much. So no, it's not necessary, but eventually, yeah, 3 to 6 months in, if you're turning a profit, absolutely. All right, I found question number 2 on Facebook. Wow, this guy wrote a book. By the way, these are all private. To hide the innocent here, protect the innocent, I hid their names, even though it's all over the internet, it's public. And I didn't want to be a jerk and go into private groups. So these are all on the internet. So this one says, hey guys, there's something I just want to point out in this business model, which I noticed recently. If you're on the fence, maybe you're running a tight budget, you don't have the funds for the domain name or the tracking number. Trust me, I understand your pain. He goes on to say, hey, listen to me. All you need is a Weebly site or a Wix site. For God's sakes, just get your feet wet. You don't even need a WordPress site, which is all true. And it's actually great advice. The only thing I would, as a caveat, I would kind of, make sure that you mention here is that, so using Weebly and Wix, if you use those subdomains, what you may not be aware of, especially if you're getting not only SEO traffic, but paid traffic, a lot of times Chrome will throw up a warning and you have no idea. So you've spent all this time building out a beautiful Wix site or Weebly site. You might even see the metrics of visits, clicks, and click-through rate, and all these things and keywords increasing. But little do you know, a good percentage, I should say, of your traffic is seeing this. And so if you're ever running ads, for example, and you're like, wow, why aren't I getting any calls? Well, it's because you didn't spend the $12 to just buy a domain and do it legitimately. So shoestring budget, yes, it can be done, but if you have a couple bucks, just do it right. Okay, on to question number 3. Hey everyone, so I'm pretty new to SEO and I've just built out my first rank and rent site. In the meantime, I am eager to make money ASAP and get more comfortable with SEO, even if that means trading more time than money and taking lower margins. Any advice for landing clients for flat fee SEO services as a newbie, or the fastest route to do so? At this point, I just want to get my hands dirty, but I'm still not 100% confident in my SEO abilities, which I understand that. Yeah, it's a good question. Basically, for SEO purposes, it's a huge learning curve, and it's also the advent of the fact that SEO changes so much. It changes almost monthly. Algorithm changes, all types of things, rules, certain ways that search engines index your website. All of these things are changing. So best thing to do is get your feet wet with building, such as Weebly or something like this, building out a website in a simple website builder. But for SEO purposes, all of it can be outsourced. You can, for example, I have an agency you can purchase your backlinks from. I have an agency that'll build the site if you really want us to do that. But I recommend building it on your own. And for backlinks, for citations and stuff like that, just use a third-party company. It's very simple to do. And again, if you have a couple bucks, do it right. Get yourself some citations, get yourself some guest posts, get yourself some really good directory listings that are local, especially if they're in the niche that you're in, and you'll be sitting pretty. 3, 4, 5 weeks goes by and you've beat out your competitors, especially if you've analyzed their citations. You have a really good idea of what the competition's doing. So, wha-bam, there's the next one, number 4. So we have a question. Do you think the local businesses listed in Google Maps would, without a website, are perfect prospects or clients for rank and rent deals? I see where you're going with this. What this person is asking is, hey, is there some type of potential buyer that is perfect for this type of work, or this type of service rather? I'm sure you could probably find some type of niche or some type of statistic or some type of numbers that you want to analyze it to find the perfect type of lead buyer. But no, I don't think people without a website are any different than some that have a website, honestly. Your best bet is to just go grab from Google, go ahead and put in the city and the niche that you're in, take a look at those top competitors. And those top competitors are probably, especially if they're doing paid ads, don't be a jerk, don't click those ads, right? But just look at that URL, go visit that URL separately. Those are going to be your best bet, right? So anybody, especially if they're spending money towards their own advertising, any legitimate business doing that is going to be way, way better than anyone else on that first page. And again, to be clear, he's asking about the lead buyer. He's talking about after he's, done his due diligence, purchased the domain, built out the website and ranked it, what's the best type of lead buyer that's out there? And it's just by going to Google and finding the top results for your keyword and going after those individuals for potential lead buyer. Okay, question number 5. Respectfully, request feedback on this concrete ad performance from Google Ads. What this person is pointing out here is that there's been 32,000 impressions, 531 clicks, and absolutely no conversions or calls. And he's wanting to know why. What could be the reason for this? And although they haven't spent too much money, I think it's a fair expectation to say, wow, here's a ton of impressions, here's many clicks, why don't I have any calls yet? Or at what point can I expect some calls? Is this a fair ratio? Couple of things. This is Google AdWords, so this is paid ads. So this person is doing arbitrage for lead generation. They've built their website, and instead of waiting for it to rank, they're actually sending traffic to the built site. And although they might be working on SEO as a long-term play, they went ahead and paid Google to send some traffic and trying to convert it. Now, as to why it's not receiving calls, that could be many, many things, but there's a couple of telltale signs and a couple of culprits that you want to look for. The first thing is that when you're building out a campaign, you can select different areas within the Google search network to display your ads. You can do just search only. For example, just going to Google itself. You can do just display ads, or you can do partner sites, or any combination of the three. And unfortunately, what happens a lot of times, if you're not watching, or if you don't know what you're doing, or if you paid someone who doesn't know what they're doing, they're going to set it up in the wrong way, and you're going to get the wrong traffic and the wrong clicks, and your whole budget is just going to disappear, and it's going to suck. So especially if it goes to YouTube. I mean, think about it. If somebody was looking for landscaping, they would go to Google and search it, and that's where you want to get in front of. But imagine if somebody's on YouTube and just randomly there's an ad for landscaping and they accidentally click it. Well, there goes your cost right there. So that could be a big thing too. Now, there's a whole host of other things that be going on here. I won't get into it, but you're going to want to optimize that campaign. Make sure you're in the right area. Keywords is another issue. If you didn't use Keyword Planner or SEMrush, you don't have the right keywords at the right type of search volume. It's just not going to be good. And then there's the case of exact match, broad match, and phrase match. And then you have potentially negative keywords. What if all of those things are right, but you have a phrase match or broad match set up, and there's some, leakage there where someone is looking up keywords for a research paper and they're clicking on your ads, but it happens to be for cabinet countertop replacement or something like this, right? So great question, but yeah, you're definitely going to get better at your ads game or hire somebody as a consultant to take a look at it. Okay, question number 6. Can anyone recommend your go-to citations gig when you're laying out your authority building foundation in phase 1 of your Google business profile? If anyone offers monthly SEO services, please let me know. So what this person is asking about is citations for their Google business profile. And what a citation is, let's go ahead and have a look at one. So it's basically just the name, address, phone number, possibly even a logo appearing in some type of directory or some type of listing basically on the internet. These types of websites typically will do this for many other businesses. So a good example would be like Monta.com, or perhaps even if you look at this website here, here's Right Way Plumbing. It happens to be located in Norfolk. So if you look here, come down to the bottom, try to find their address, and then what you can do is you can actually take this and try to find their citations. So if you come here, you go into Google and you enter in the address, search it, and add the word Right Way Plumbing, you can actually see some of their citations. And it looks like this. So here are some citations from Yelp, MapQuest, Angie's List, Zoom Info, and a whole host of others. And like I mentioned, it's going to have a name, address, and phone number. And what they were asking basically was, hey, who is your go-to person to build these out? Well, the first person is always going to be yourself. You can go and build these out yourself and point them to your website. As far as the GMB, any company that offers this type of service may also offer it for the GMB, and you can find it on third-party websites, typically like Fiverr or legit.com, and just look up these third-party vendors who offer this type. You got to be careful though when you go to those places because a lot of them are overseas. Unfortunately, there's a lot of scams associated with that. So just keep plugging away, ask in groups, in my group online, for example, and we share our vendors on there as well. But if you want to focus, not necessarily on the GMB, but on the website, you can leverage my agency as well. I have a pretty awesome product that has citations. Now, not all citations are made the same, but the ones that we provide by my company are very affordable and they're done the right way. You can purchase 4 different types of levels: the Fuse program, the Spark package, the Bomb, or Go Nuclear, and you can get yourself 100 citations for only $225, and many of them have high domain authority and trust flow, and we've actually scraped them for spam. See, the issue is that if you do pay a third party, typically, you don't know if the websites they're going to are known for spam and Google's actually blacklisted them, or worse, ghosted them, and you went and paid for them and you have no idea it's not giving you any link juice. So I have a huge database internally where my employees are building these things out for each site that I build out. In fact, it's part of our process. And if you go check out our website here, I'll put a link in the under description below if I can get around to doing that. And you can just go purchase this every time. Like as soon as you finish building out your site, go purchase these citations and we'll provide you a spreadsheet with proof that we've built them out and you're on your way to ranking your site. All right, question number 7. Hey guys, since getting actual deals is the thing that moves the needle, would it be wise for me as a beginner like myself to outsource the website building and just focus on sales? Or is it just best to also learn that skill at the start? I always recommend learning the skill, but you don't have to. It really is just going to come down to you if you prefer it. And honestly, if you just have the cash, if you have the cash to do it, yes, you can just purchase a website. I think the issue is that just like a normal business owner, if you have a plumbing company, for example, and you want to have a website built, you need to understand what comes with that website, or more importantly, what doesn't. For example, sure, you can buy a WordPress website that's completely built and has content, but it may not end up ranking because that web developer didn't throw in a package for SEO, didn't throw in a package where they're correcting the H1 through H6 headers, or maybe no meta tags, title tags. What if they aren't indexing the site for you, setting up Google Search Console? It goes on and on and on, and all of that website build will bleed into the SEO side, right? So what I always recommend is to purchase. I actually have a template in my group that I provide to the folks in my group. Anyone in my group gets a huge discount off of it. At the time of making this video, it's literally 25% off, and I'll show you this template here. And what it does is it allows us to simply build out sites very, very quickly because the structure of the site stays the same, and all we do is just replace all the content. So if you go to the website, Digital Landlord Lifestyle, click on merch, and I believe it's right here, niche website template. Here it is here, and it's just a pre-built site. It's got navigation at the top. It has all of the SEO already built in, and it tells you where to place your sales video. All these buttons are pre-made, internal linking, everything that has to do with SEO is already in there. And so once you purchase this template, you keep it on your builder, whether that's Weebly or another builder, and then you just fill out the information. So go purchase content or start filling out the content yourself, or grab content from other plumber sites or landscaping sites, build it out, handle your SEO, set up your Google Search Console, and start ranking that site. And as leads and calls start coming in, you can start doing your prospecting, and you're good to go. Now, the whole point of having a template is that you don't have to go and pay someone else every single time to set up a new site. You see, because you own the template, you'll just copy it, and you'll just replace all the city information, replace all the content information. Or even better, if you just want to stay in the same niche and go to a different city, obviously you're just going to be copying out that same website, changing all the city information, and possibly even rewording the words so that it's not a duplicate content on a different site. So check that out if you get a chance. I'll see if I can put a link under the video. All right, let's keep this moving. So next up, we have a question here. Should you worry about national business ranking with a city page in your niche, or should it be easy to outrank? Do not worry about it whatsoever. No hesitation. I don't worry about it. And let me tell you why. And I'm going to show you why here in a second. So what this person is asking is, hey, if I'm going to go ahead and build out a website for a particular city, what if I do see Yelp or 3 best rated? Or what if I see a big franchise that's in literally 20, 30, 40, 50 cities and they're just crushing it, right? Should I worry about that, or should I consider that as part of my due diligence? No, I don't. Since the beginning, I have not. And let me show you exactly why. So let's go back to our example for plumber, Norfolk, Virginia. You can see here that there's some paid advertising. That's a good sign. It's a good market. We've got a national Roto-Rooter company. I recognize that name. That's in the map pack. And then you have a mix of these curated Angie's List, Yelp, your typical Better Business Bureau stuff. You can always tell national sites by this little triangle here. You'll see it here and here. It'll typically say something like their main website, the niche, and then the city. And every single one of these is going to follow that. So here would be your main competitor. So I actually ignore this, and then of course what the question was referencing was Roto-Rooter. Look at this. There's a national company ranking on the first page for plumbers, but it's got those little triangles that's referencing a location. And there's a reason why you don't have to worry about that. And the reason is that, yes, this company, Roto-Rooter, if you were to go to Ahrefs backlink checker, they're going to have a lot of links, and that may be difficult to compete with. I mean, here I am here at the backlink checker tool, and if you see here, they've got a really, really strong website with lots of backlinks, 72 DR, backlinks up the wazoo. They are all coming from a primary group of main websites, but the difference here is that you will just do a better job of attracting traffic from only Norfolk. You got to remember that these links are coming primarily pointing at the website, and then they're being traded off to this link juice to the inner page, this Norfolk here. So that inner page may not actually have the strength that you think it does, and therefore if you buy a domain, which is plumber Norfolk or best plumber Norfolk or whatever it ends up being, you can compete with that. You can go ahead and compete with that. And who knows, maybe the algorithm changes to where Google might say, hey, you know what, let's not trust so much these curator pages as we do a legitimate local business that's brick and mortar in the area with all this geotagging going on. So yeah, don't worry about the so-called national companies. Just go ahead and go right into the city. In fact, when you're doing your due diligence, don't even look at those at all. Just look for other companies who have a specific city or state name in the URL. And one way to tell is when you go to the website and you scroll down to the bottom, see if that address is actually in Norfolk, because then you can tell that they have like a local presence. Like, look at this website here, there's no address. So yeah, I don't worry about this one at all. Let's go on to the next one here. All right, next up we have, does anyone know how to rank multiple areas? Rank in multiple areas, basically. They created an amazing website. So she looks like she's asking about how to rank in multiple areas for obvious reasons. The more areas you can rank in, the more leads that you can have come in. And she even provides a website that kind of does that she found on Facebook. Um, when you're starting out, you don't want to do this. Let me tell you why. It's actually pretty basic. So think about it. When you're practicing your due diligence and you're trying to understand your particular city and niche, obviously, the more cities you want to rank for, the more difficult it's going to be. Even if you get two cities that are relatively easy to rank in, doing two at once is going to be difficult because you have to multiply all of the backlinks, all of the social media accounts you're going to build out, all the directories you're going to build out. Also, you're going to have keyword cannibalization, where if you build out a city in, say, Phoenix, or excuse me, a niche in Phoenix, plumber in Phoenix, and then you want to add Chandler, you might cannibalize those keywords in that Google's going, okay, well, pick one. Are you trying to attract traffic from Chandler or Phoenix, right? So it makes more sense to look at it and chop those up into separate sites. Eventually, yes, you can build out a whole county, but I don't recommend it. I've actually done this before, and it's taken me 8, 9, 10 months to rank a website because I built out a whole county here in Arizona, and it took quite a bit of time where I could have just built out the single city, got cash flow coming in, took that cash flow and reinvested into the next city. All right, question number 10. Hold on, I gotta take a sip of my tea here. Sips tea. Anyone know how to use multiple websites within one account in WordPress? Well, first off, I don't recommend WordPress. WordPress has been around quite a long time. The internet trusts WordPress. You can rank these websites nationally and locally. It's great. But the deal is that would you use a Lamborghini to go get your groceries every day? It's not a grocery getter. So why would you use WordPress, which is top of the line when you want to build out these, immaculate websites, to just build a simple site that's, a local website that's whole intention is just get local traffic to call. You don't need all the bells and whistles and sliders and things like this. So first of all, that. Second thing, do I know of one? I believe there's a tool. There's a gentleman from Canada. I don't remember his name, but I've seen it here and there on doing some research on for websites and such, and within lead generation. But yeah, they do make plugins and things like that for WordPress, so you can copy websites and do multiple websites and all that. But all of that's going to come with a cost. Another reason I don't recommend WordPress, even beyond rank and rent, is at one point when I had a larger agency and I was building out clients, or at least attempting to, anytime there was a WordPress account, it's almost like being a mechanic for a vehicle or a car, right? You have a beater that comes to you, and the owner of the vehicle says, I don't know what the other mechanic did, but can you fix this? Well, it's like, well, that makes the situation much more difficult, right? So whether you look at a WordPress site and someone else who was a layman built it or another pro built it, you need to understand every single thing that they've done in terms of their plugins, their web builder, the theme, and how they all affect each other. And then on top of that, you have PHP updates, plugin updates, WordPress servers going down. You have everything separated, hosting and all this. It's much, much easier to do this with Weebly. Simple. The SEO is built in. You don't need, Yoast. It's just simple and it works. So I have my own builder that I use. It comes with a template, whether that's with Weebly or the other builder I recommend. And again, I'll put that in the link below and you can go purchase it and just use that same one over and over and over. And yes, in that case, with the builder that I use, you can have multiple websites in one account. And anytime you're working on them, you can just skip in between them all. It's great. All right, question number 11. First off, glad to be part of the group. I have a tree website that's ranking for the top 10 keywords. I plan on running some ads. My question is, how would I know if the ads are working versus organic search from the site? Is there a way to discern if the leads are coming from one or the other? Like if I turn the ads off, he's not getting any organic calls. Does that simply mean that it's a bad market? Well, let me answer that first. That's the last part there first. You shouldn't set this all up and then determine if it's a good or bad market based on the traffic it's getting. You should do that in the beginning in the due diligence. And I'm eventually going to release a due diligence video for that purpose. But let me answer the first part of your question, which is how can I tell? Absolutely, you can tell. It's very easy to do. You can use Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is a reporting tool. It's free. You put the Google tag on your website, whatever the builder is, and it will literally tell you where all of your traffic's coming from and all the demographics, and you can set up immediate reports to come weekly, monthly, whatever. So yeah, you can do that. Another way you can do it is you can just have a phone number, separate phone number for the ads versus the organic. You can hide pages and use a phone number in that one page that's hidden, right? It's gated or it's hidden by a password. And you know that only traffic is going to there for that. But again, Google Analytics does it for free, so why do that? Or if you set up AdWords, you can use dynamic phone numbers and there'll be reports for that. Or it goes on and on and on. I should know this stuff, right? I am obviously somebody who's been doing it a while, so I should know these things. I've had these questions myself. So the other way is the actual phone builder or the phone system that you're going to use. They'll let you do the same thing. They'll have you set up dynamic phone numbers if you'd like. I know CallRail does that. So wow, what a great question. Sure, you can differentiate between the traffic. Just use Google Analytics. Question number 12. If a BO already had, BO stands for business owner, by the way, already had claimed the GMB listing in his or her own address, how do you explain why you need a different address other than their address? So I think I know what you're asking, and even if I don't, I'm going to answer it in two ways so I cover all my bases here. So a GMB is a Google business listing, right? So Google My Business is now Google Business Profile GBP, and anytime that you set it up, this particular citation or this particular account, you have to put in an address, a postcard will typically come, or a phone number or text to verify it. And what she's asking here is how can you kind of explain this to the business owner, because it can seem a little awkward, like, oh, by the way, I'm going to be using a different address and all this stuff. First things first, unless you are using their address, whether they have a quote unquote GMB, GPP first, or they don't, if you're going to set up a new GMB, then you need to tell them, hey, I'm going to leverage your address and I'm going to set up a keyword listing for your niche. Can you help me out with that? That's if you're using their address, right? That's a little trick for getting GMBs, by the way. You can leverage the business owner and get them to verify it for you. But if what you're saying here truly is maybe a new address that's kind of in their vicinity, maybe a city over the way, 15 miles out, 20 minutes out, whatever time frame or mileage you're thinking about, you really don't, it goes without saying. I mean, think about it. They are a plumber, or they are a kitchen cabinet installation, or whatever your niche is. Are they going to turn down business because it's 3 miles away? That's the whole reason why they're working with you. The whole reason they're working with you is to get business not only in their current area, but expand. Otherwise, why are you two talking? So it's not an awkward conversation at all. In fact, you shouldn't even have to bring it up. If you're not using their address, then you should not have a GMB conversation with them at all. You should just go set it up on your own with whatever other methods that you're using. So yeah, and if they do start to ask about, well, what's the URL, what's the website say, you can say, after I set you up with an account, I will go over that URL with you. I'll show you those details, and that website may have the address you're using on it. I actually use a service, a website service, where I can hide the URL, show them an exact copy of the website duplicated with a sort, like almost like a bit.ly, where it hides the URL. It just shows this gibberish and it's temporary. And that way I'm not sort of messing up my analytics, because I'm really huge on conversions, and I don't want my BOs that I'm pitching or selling this to, this lead generation to, all going to the website. So, and that'll throw off your numbers. So yeah, great question. Don't even bring it up unless you're using their address. Don't even bring up the fact you're setting up another GMB. Well, bam, next one we've got 13. Question 13, how do or does everybody go about ranking higher Yelp and Angie's List? All right, caveat here, you should not be ranking in Yelp or Angie's List unless it's your own business. So let's think about this for a second. If you are doing rank and rent or lead generation, you obviously are leveraging Google's organic traffic or paid traffic, or maybe, just maybe, social media and Facebook paid traffic. But you certainly aren't going to take a fake or a DBA, let's say business, and go and set up a Yelp for it and purchase their paid ads, or an Angie's List and purchase their paid ads. You can still set up the account so you get a citation, right? Because these search algorithms and Google algorithms, search engine algorithms, eventually will probably use Yelp and the fact that you're in these well-trusted sites as well to verify things. Um, you should you should go ahead and build it out, but when you're looking to rank it, make sure that you're just focusing on the actual responses from the clients or customers that your client is getting. So your client's customer should be filling out the reviews on Yelp, and that's how you rank it. So to keep that short, just get reviews and get legitimate reviews. You can tell my hesitation here because I will build out a Yelp. Yes, I could probably do Angie's List and Thumbtack and all that, but you know what's going to happen. What's going to end up happening is those companies are now going to call you to sell you leads. Well, that's what you do for a living. So you shouldn't be going and buying leads and reselling them to your client when your client can go directly to them. Now, you might say, well, then what's the issue with Google? Well, Google's different because Google, being that their service is quite difficult, it can be for new people to get in, and marketing agencies have to get in and handle their business that way. They have a platform specifically for that. It's called an MCC account. Whereas for the time being, in making this video, I don't think that Yelp is allowing that. I don't think Angie's List is allowing that. They want to sell directly to the customer. But I'm going to assume you're talking just about organic, and you're going and setting up a Yelp account for your DBA business. Great, do it. Just get reviews. That's it. And fill out the whole profile. Put in the picture, fill out all the information, the phone number, make sure everything matches, and you'll rank better. Basically, the internal algorithms for those companies are different from search algorithms that are out there in search engines. So they're basically going to look at how many clicks are coming in from the internet, right? The public, and then how many reviews do you have? And they're obviously going about that. The separate way is to pay them, but I don't recommend that. I don't recommend paying Yelp and getting their leads. All right, question 14. We're more than halfway through the list here. It says, hello. So when you're getting started, you set everything up to get leads. Then you give the leads away who you want to work with and a potential deal or a potential deal. My question is, what do you do if someone calls a number looking for the service before you have someone to give the leads to? I asked this because I'm assuming I have to test everything out first. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can see that being a valid concern. You're concerned that, okay, the call comes in, you don't have a buyer in place yet. So the answer is you can start by setting everything up. You're going to buy that phone number in the first week. In fact, it's one of the first, second, third step. You got to get a phone number. As soon as you've done due diligence, you know it's the right city, go buy that phone number. Keep it on the back burner, enter it into the website at some point, set up all your call forwarding, and have it, instead of having it go to voicemail, you can actually just go find a BO, call them if you have to, find out that they answer their phone number, and just forward them the calls. There's nothing wrong with that. It's no different than somebody, say Yelp, setting up. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Yelp and Thumbtack and all these companies that are like curators, and they take all the data. They actually take all the data, they put it into a database. They don't manually go in there and say, oh, it looks like there's a plumber in South Carolina over here or Norfolk. Let's go ahead and manually enter him in here and put it as unclaimed. No, they buy all the data, probably from like Zoom info, dump it into a big database, and it creates all these pages. And then obviously at some point the business owner starts Googling their own company, and or a marketer who's going to help them set up citations and goes, oh, you have an account with us, or at least this page, do you want to claim it? So the reason I'm bringing that up is his question is, what should I do? Can I have these calls? If their calls are coming in, I don't have a BO. What's good? Like, how do I fix that? It's no different than Yelp sending calls to these folks, right? These folks are just, the customer's just going to go and search on the internet, and whatever they think, rings with them the most, finding this plumber, finding this house cleaner, carpet cleaner, whatever it might be, they're going to call it. And a lot of times they don't even remember where they found you or whatever. Believe me, I've worked at many businesses back in the day, both Fortune 500 companies and small businesses in many different capacities. And anytime we were asking them, how'd you find us? They're like, oh, I don't know, internet search. That's as accurate as they can get. So yeah, just forward it over to a business owner. Another option is for you to take the call live and then transfer the call live to a random business owner. The trouble with that is that every second counts. And what I'm saying is that yes, you can put the customer or client on hold and say, hold on, and you can go Google it and go from there. But that's going to require you to put them on hold for a moment, go find a valid company, let them know, and there might be an awkward conversation like, who are you, and blah, 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 and they're keeping you on the line while you have the other party on hold. So it's a little awkward. So that first one is best. And then while that's set up and it's going to business owners, don't record those calls, by the way. You don't have permission to do that. Just forward it over and keep a record of who you forwarded it to. Because then when you go to pitch and have conversations with these lead buyers, you can go back to that original person that you forwarded to and let them know as part of this setup, oh, by the way, I've actually sent you this call, this number 818-212, whatever, on this day, this day, this day, and give them a record of it. And it'll just help build the trust that, hey, they've already gave us a bunch of freebies. Now they're giving us these live calls. We have something, on paper or some trial set up now. And at the end of that trial is going to be the sign up. All right, question number 15. Hey guys, currently using WordPress to build my site. Is that what most people out there use, or is there a faster, more efficient web builder, and I should be using? Thanks. Okay, so I kind of talked about this earlier in terms of WordPress, so I won't bore you with that once again, but I'll show you what I'm using. And in fact, anyone who goes and sets up an account with these folks, let's say for the next 30 days from now through May 1st, I will give two free hours on the house just for purchasing the one of the plans through this company. So go to digitallandlordlifestyle.com and click on this right here. This is the company that I use to set up all my websites. It's an amazing tool. Just click on it. Again, I'll put it under the deal there. But this company actually is amazing. They will give you all types of templates that you can use to automatically set up your account. And it's much faster, much easier and intuitive site build, and it's mobile optimized. So I use both Weebly. I'm transferring most of my sites, and especially the new ones, away from Weebly, but the ones that I have in there, I'll probably keep in there as legacy accounts. But I'm building everything out in this tool here. So go sign up for it. It's very affordable. They got some awesome plans here. I always get the agency plan, but you can get away with one site or a couple here. And yeah, go use that tool, because for the reasons I mentioned earlier, WordPress is just too much, and it's too much to keep up with. And you can build these at scale with this company. And if you then go and purchase my template, I will send that template over as well as part of your purchase, and you can just keep it installed on your account here and make as many websites as you want that are already built. So they do have some niches too, by the way. I'm sure that's probably going to be a question like, oh, well, do they have landscaping? They do. It's not exactly sort of, because they're thinking in terms of you're building it for a client, or that you're a business owner yourself who's purchasing this website builder to build your own landscaping site. So they're not too familiar with the rank and rent niche, although a lot of folks are now doing it with that. So they do have some niches, is my point, but most of their sites, I think they have something like 50 templates at this point right now. And they're all types. You could even do like yoga sites and stuff like that, brick and mortars, coffee shops. So if you have an agency too, it'll help out too. But for the time being, I'm only doing rank and rent. And again, I'll keep that through the end of May. You just got to click this link here. I am an affiliate of theirs, so I will, be making some income there as well. But yeah, that's the site that I recommend. All right, question number 16. What phone numbers do you use to prospect from? So when I'm doing prospecting calls, my open phone number shows likely spam. Anyone have a phone system they use for sales that doesn't do that? Okay, well, I'm not too sure what phone, if you're just using your cell phone, for example, that typically won't happen. I think the issue here is that between legislation and those, phone laws that have been around for a long time, do not call us and all that, the government's been a little sensitive with it, and carriers have been sensitive with it, because I'm sure their customers, for a period of time as cell phones became more prevalent, were probably complaining quite a bit about text message spam, robocalls, and all types of stuff. So for that reason, this person is correct. A lot of these cell phones that you'll be calling And yes, there's a lot of business owners who run their businesses, you'll be surprised, on their cell phones will say spam, likely spam, and it'll come up in a little blue circle. It almost looks like the Skype logo, and the business owner may not answer. But see, the difference here, just to put you at ease, is you have to remember these are business owners. And any legitimate business owner is going to answer every call. It's if you think about your own personal cell phone, I'd argue 90% of people, including myself, if I don't know the number, even if it doesn't say spam, I just don't answer it. If it doesn't say mom or sister or something, I'm not going to answer the phone. So same going on here. I wouldn't worry about it. Now, in terms of using a number, so there is an issue with numbers if you purchase from, like, I'm talking a third of a third party tool phone system. Like if you go and try to find these like super cheap phone numbers, since every other spammer out there uses those phone numbers may already be blocked and spammed. So you want to use a legitimate company for your phones. And a legitimate company for your phones is more than likely going to be something like say CallRail or CallFire, and I'd argue that their phone numbers are going to be more legitimate than there's some random 800 number or something like this. So go purchase those phone numbers. You can also get away with Google Voice if you really want to go on the cheap and make sure that it's probably not going to come up as spam. You're good to go. But even if it does, for the small percentage of your calls that do, again, these are business owners. They're going to get all types of calls, and they don't know if it's really somebody who is calling for their service, so they're likely going to answer. All right, so this one is question number 17, and it says, anyone created insurance brokerage lead gen site service before? Also, everyone I search, there is plenty of big companies like Allstate, State Farm, and Progressive shows up on the Google search results. Is this a bad idea to get into? Yeah, it's a bad idea. It's a great question, and it's a bad idea. For the first reason that you showed here is there's a lot of competition. You have multi-million, multi-billion dollar corporations with endless budgets that will just push you down in the search engine results. Now, it goes back earlier to what I mentioned. It goes against what I said earlier when I mentioned those other deals there. But these aren't franchises, and these aren't curation sites like Yelp. These are huge corporations that are direct competitors to local businesses, and then therefore your potential lead generation. And not only are they spending money on Google, but they're spending money on Google Ads, and they're all over all of the Instagram, LinkedIn, and every other type of social media ad that's out there as well. So now forget about all of that. Even though all of that is true, there's other reasons why you don't want to get into this type of thing for lead generation or rank and rent. It's because it goes against the brick and mortar rule. And the brick and mortar rule is that when you're getting into this specific type of local business lead generation, you want to start and stick with, for the first few years, I'm telling you, just service-based industries. And service-based industries are those that can be described where when the customer or client calls, the service is done not at the local business location, it's done at the home or at the place of business, so that a service person drives a vehicle and shows up and does that job. And there's so many reasons for that, but the main reason is that you can control the asset much better because you're going to control the website and the address. And if there's ever any issues and you have to fire the BO, you're not going to have an issue with firing that Allstate agent and saying, oh, you're not paying your bill, I'm going to go set this up somewhere else. Well, yeah, you're going to have to start all over. Instead of just firing them and then picking a new BO and forwarding the calls, you now have all of your assets associated with their location. Now, if you did something earlier where you set up an address out in the middle of nowhere, some random abandoned building or whatever, LoopNet, yeah, that might work. But guess what? Those customers of this types of industries do want to drive to the locations to talk to their insurance agent. So I think you see, for all those reasons I just lined out, don't do that. Just stick to plumbers, just stick to carpet cleaners and installers, those types of deals, and you'll be all right. Hey guys, this is number 18. Hey guys, I want to build citations for my website now, but I haven't closed a deal with the BO. I do not want to have people go back and update the new address. Or do I just close the BO? Any suggestions? Oh, what a great question. Everyone who gets into lead generation, specifically rank and rent and pay per lead, is gonna, this underlying question is just gonna keep coming back up. Let alone building out the website and all these other things, but the address is a huge deal. Why is it a huge deal? Well, it's a huge deal because more and more when it comes to local SEO and local lead generation, the search engines such as Google and Bing are looking for geodata that associates your website with a specific geolocation. And for that reason, part of that is a full-on address. Now, you can get away with building out a site and just simply putting Phoenix, Arizona or Miami, Florida in a zip code, right? And I guess if you're building out citations, you can use that, but many of these websites may reject that and say, well, that's not a full address. So what this person is asking is, hey, what if I start building it all out with a BO? I get all excited, I'm about to set something up, and then the BO fires me or I fire them and I got to start over. So for that reason, I never use the BO's address for a website. I might use it. I might use it for the GMB if I've exhausted other options, but I have a bunch of other options that I use. So just stay away from using the business owner's address. Set up your own business address. Set it up at a retail shopping center, some other industrial site, whatever, in town. Use your home address if you have to, if you're in that city and niche that you're in. Do it that way. But yeah, don't run into a situation where you're using their address. Just set it up on a completely new address that you've Googled and you've looked to saw it's a real building and everything, and go from there. And just start sticking it on the website, stick it on the citations, and eventually that'll create a footprint for yourself for everything else you build out. And then again, when you fire the BO, there's no issues. You literally just replace them and start forwarding the calls to the next person. And it doesn't matter because it's service based, because the customer is never going to go to that address. Question number 19. Question is it not better to use one large site in your target niche and have multiple location pages rather than having multiple smaller sites? No, I can't honestly say that it is better. In fact, it's going to lean towards the other way. For the reason I mentioned earlier, it takes longer to rank a larger site with multiple locations. It just does. And then you have separate GMBs. Are you kidding me? That's going to take you forever. Don't do that. Just pick a city. 25,000, 50,000, 75,000, 100,000 in population, 150 in population, 175 in population. Crack 200 if you have to. But do not go build out a whole county or a whole state or name it, AZ or whatever. I've done it before. It takes much too long and therefore it's harder and it's more expensive. Don't do it. Pick a city. Pick somewhere in Idaho if you have to, and find that niche, do the due diligence, build out the website, get successful, get those checks and cash flow coming in on ones, 500 a month, 750, 500, $1,500 a month, and then move on to the other city. Duplicate that one 10 other times, and then move into a new niche. All right, next question. Question number 20. Quick question. How much would you rather pay a skilled salesperson a fixed or a percentage to do sales calls and close for you? This person, of course, would be experienced in your industry, understand client payment pain points, and overall a great salesperson. However, would you outsource this yourself if you found, how would you outsource this yourself if you found the right person? Oh, big boy over here, outsourcing. I believe this is Jason Bourne, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm kidding. First of all, don't focus on this in the beginning. Obviously, I was joking. This person's probably got a couple under their belt and they're ready to scale up their company. I would do a percentage. I would look at your local labor laws. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA like I mentioned earlier. I always recommend this is information purpose only. And if you need an attorney, go to one in your local area who's licensed. But yeah, set it up 1099. Go ahead and look at the local labor laws, and because of cash flow purposes, it's going to be hard to put someone on a salary. So put them on a commission of some type and say, hey, for every deal you do, you get X percentage, whether that's 5, 10, 15%. That's up to you. How much are you willing to give up in order to get it done? The cool thing about growing a company is everything's negotiable. You can do 90-day sprints and you can renegotiate or something like this. I can tell you employees are a headache. They'll steal from you. They will call in sick and all that other stuff that comes with it. But if ultimately you're looking for pricing, just give them a fixed percentage or a fixed amount per deal that they close. And then eventually with the promise down the road that they'll give them a salary and some type of commission. That's probably going to be the best way to do it. You can find them all over the place on the internet, like Fiverr.com. You can find them on freelancer.com or many of the other freelance websites and go from there. All right, we're in the home stretch here. Question number 21. Hey guys, I've just started Rank and Rent, and I've ranked a site, reached out to service providers. Most of them won't even consider pay per lead. Their objection is that they'll lose money for the ones that don't become a customer. So I have arranged it by commission of sales. But the issue is that they are not converting to customers, so I'm stuck. I feel a bit skeptical, the whole business model. How do I make this work? So recommendation, stay away from, and I totally get why you went into the percentage part because it's almost like a default. In fact, it's the most basic to understand, right? When you're talking to a business owner, they'll probably even offer this, some of them because they know that they don't have to pay anything up front and there's no investment and you're doing all the work and they only have to pay if it closes. But there's so many problems that can come along with the percentage model, and that is namely, how do you track it? There's so much room for fraud. There's room for them to just hide, which ones they closed and which ones they didn't. And every business owner is going to tell you, oh, but I'm honest. Look, you do a good job for me and I'm going to do it for you. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But I trust my kids, but I don't leave knives hanging around. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't give them the opportunity. Instead, only do pay per lead and only do flat fee. So it's interesting, when I used to just do pay per lead, I found that people would ask for flat fee, and when I would offer flat fee, I would see people asking for pay per lead. It's almost like this default thing, like the psychology of sales, not to get too much into sales here, but that's essentially a sales question, is they want to feel in control in some way, right? So there's some really unique ways and savvy ways if you go about sales that you can get what you want, but have them feel like they're in control, right? And the way that you're going to do this is when you're having a conversation with them, one of the first things you should be doing specifically within lead generation and pay per lead is never mention a price. Always just mention to them that, look, I'm just going to be sending you these calls. I'm really good at what I do. I just don't know what's the volume just yet. I've done some early due diligence. I have a feeling X amount might come in, but don't hold me to that. That's why I need your help, Mr. Business Owner, Mrs. Business Owner. I need you to take these calls and just do a good job. That's what I'm looking for here. I'm not worried about the money right now. What I will tell you is that eventually I want somebody long term, because the less, more hands off it is for me, the better. I can go and move on to other things. I can grow your company with other sites, but are you willing to do that? So make that first call about that and that only. Then, after you've done that, then you can start talking about pricing once they've gotten those leads. Now, if you're just simply saying here at the bottom, I'm stuck because the leads aren't converting, well, that goes back to due diligence and City and all of your tools, SEMrush, Mangles. You just did bad due diligence, right? You picked the wrong niche, you picked the wrong city size, whatever it may be, and then there's competition. So niche, city size, and competition, those three things on top. And then after all that, guess what? You need to be good at SEO. Don't let any other rank and rent so-called teacher, coach tell you otherwise unless you get good at AdWords. Like, you need traffic. You need people coming to this site and converting them into calls or forms, period. So best thing to do here is to only do pay per lead and only do flat fee. I recommend only flat fee. I've moved away from pay per lead, but some people will still ask for it, and I'll do it. I'll do it if they ask for it. And guess what? I'm good at what I do. So what ends up happening is they get a $3,000 bill for 6 months in a row, and they go, wait a minute, I remember Randall saying something about $1,500 a month. Boy, that really sounds good now, right? Wow, I've been paying him $3,500. I remember he offered $1,500 flat fee. It would have been a lot easier in all these disputes and everything. So yeah, so get better at SEO, get better at paid ads, and get them the leads. And then do not do a setup by any percentage or anything like that. Just say, hey, look, and by the way, I'm going to poke holes in that story. Don't ever let a business owner tell you something to the fact of, what if I don't close? It's like, well, wait a minute, how are you making cash flow? So you need to now have a conversation of, well, wait a minute, I'm worried about you. You're interviewing me as much as I'm interviewing you. So if you're telling me you're worried about not closing, how did you make 20 grand last month? Oh, you didn't make 20 grand. How much did you make? You made 4 grand? Okay, then we shouldn't be talking. I work with companies that make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 a month because you can't afford me. So work with a better BO. Don't be afraid to let them go. So great question, but poke holes in their story. I'm worried about you now. You need to be confident with your close rate. And I'm talking about the BO. What the heck? Question number 22. What do you guys do when you receive a lot of junk calls like marketing agencies and you are forwarding directly the calls of the client? You recommend using a VA to attend and filter qualified calls. Anything else? No, don't do a VA. That's expense in the beginning and you don't need that in the beginning. What you do need is you need some software or a phone service that offers some type of IVR, because you see, a lot of these robocalls work with software themselves. And what they do is they just robodial all day long and they go from there. What I'm saying is that have a setup in the IVR that says to speak to a live representative. Well, first of all, thank you for calling such and such. To speak to a live representative, press 1. That IVR will never press 1. It'll just get hung up on eventually. But if it's a real person, they'll likely press 1 or whatever it may be. Now, if you do a good job of finding out who's who, or you tell your BO to report the marketing, you can just block the number. You don't have to deal with it. After a while, you'll have a database of numbers that you're just blocking, and you can share those numbers across all of your assets. And now you're sitting pretty, and that marketing calls eventually become a smaller and smaller percentage. Next up, we have question number 23, and it says, do you think that rank and rent is good for addiction recovery? Is it a good idea? No, it's not a good idea. It's a good idea for lead generation, but for a local business, it's not a good idea. These companies, these organizations that typically offer these services are much larger organizations. They're companies with, say, 50 or even 100 employees. And for that reason, they usually have an in-house marketing team, or they've hired a professional marketing team that's already doing their marketing for them. However, if you do get into this, it does go against the rule of it is a non-brick and mortar and a service-based only, right? So we don't want a brick and mortar, we want a service-based industry where you're coming to the person's house. And I don't believe addiction recovery is about coming to your house. It's about going and staying at a nice plaza in Beverly Hills if you're a drug addict, or someplace in Mesa, Arizona, where your family's sending you because you're on your last leg, and God bless you, hopefully you get better. Well, if you're going to do it, you're likely going to do a much better job, not necessarily with ranking and renting, but actually doing a lead funnel. I don't teach it, but you want to set up a lead funnel through like ClickFunnels, come up with an offer, find an audience through Facebook, do paid advertising, send the traffic there, and close them that way. And then on the back end, your lead buyer, it's not a mom and pop shop or something like that. It's not even a brick and mortar, so to speak. It's a call center that buys your leads, and these are networks. So you want to go with an offer network that will take those calls, and they'll just pay you on that way. Some of them do pay per lead. Most of them do, in fact, after like 30 seconds or say a certain amount of time. Some might do a flat fee. But yeah, I don't recommend it. All right, second to the last question here, question number 24. And it says, I just came across an article while searching to figure out the game plan on building a GMB and verification and whatnot. It says that if you're setting up a GMB service area and you don't have a physical address, you don't have to put the GMB address in the profile. And it reads in quotations, if you define that service area and you have no physical address, Google encourages you to leave the business address field completely blank. I know this info has been a couple of years, thanks in advance. Yeah, don't do that. It's not offered anymore. That's probably something from years ago. Again, this is a great example of why a lot of things change in this industry and you have to stay up on top of it. I'm going to tell you right now, it's what I'm doing late at night. I am reading Search Engine Journal, all types of different blogs, watching YouTube videos, YouTube University, just like you guys, but I put it all together and build it on what's actually been working, and I put it into action so I know what's real and what's not. I built many and plenty of GBPs and GMBs back in the day, and they no longer offer that. So great question, but no, you need to get an address and you need to figure out the postcard or the text message or the video verification. Question number 25, and it's the final question here. It is totally not a fake profile. Randy, I want to learn this business. Do you have a course, or do you have a course, or do you coach? P.S. Save some ladies for the rest of us. He obviously saw my profile and figured out how handsome I was, and he wants me to save some ladies for the rest of us. Totally not a fake question, guys. No, I'm kidding. I made up this question here, number 25, because yes, absolutely. I get this question quite a bit. Whenever my VA sends me the direct questions from our Facebook channel or emails me, and people ask, they want to know, do you have a course? Do you have something that I can do? No, I don't have a course, and no, these aren't my real feet, but they do look like that. Just do the coaching hourly with me. If you want to learn this and you want to learn from somebody who's actually doing it, has real assets, and is collecting, funds from Stripe each and every week, if not every month, then yeah, let's do it. Just go over to the website and sign up. Start by signing up for the free account. And then you could either book hourly calls, or I do have a long-term coaching program. It's a few grand, and just jump right in and get weekly coaching for me at a huge discount. It's 3 months of coaching. I'll help you set up all your sites, your phone numbers, answer all your questions, give you a copy of my contract. You'll get a copy of my website templates and all that good stuff. But it all starts with going to the website and just clicking right here where it says join now, and you can get into the group. Those in the group that are taking advantage of the hourly coaching while it's there, you can learn there. Now, in the group as well, I do a free call each week. What is it? The second, I believe it's the second part of the month and the third. It's either the second Saturday and the last Saturday, or the second Sunday and the last Sunday, one or the other. It's all dated in the group. You can get in there and we get on a free call. I mean, it's free, 100% free. I can run audits on your websites, answer all your questions from previous months and weeks. There's a bunch of people asking questions in the group, and it's just the best way to learn is to do it, right? You just got to jump in. You can't be scared. You got to get in there. Know that I've already paved the way for you. I've been doing this for years. And in many other methods, I've run it for my own businesses. I do my own SEO for my other companies, and that's how you get in. So no course as of yet, but I'm happy to be your mentor. I'm happy to be your coach. If you want to do hourly or long-term coaching, just get in touch with Dinesh. But it's a big plus if you get in the group first, because I don't want just random people. I want people who have watched these videos, who understand the gist of it, so we can hit the ground running. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's been a while since I posted on this channel. Any links that I mentioned, I'll put under the video. Don't forget to floss. That's follow, like, opt in, share, and subscribe. And I tell you what, guys, if you can get this video to 50 likes, I will post much, much sooner. Or 50 comments, one or the other. If you have any questions you feel like I might have missed, please ask a question in the comments. I do check those often. It's just the posting thing, it's just not something I really look forward to. But seeing those likes and seeing those comments, that does motivate me. So I will get one out, I promise you, within the next 2 weeks if we can get this video to 50 likes, 50 comments, or both. Thank you so much for checking this out. It's Randall, the Digital Landlord. Have a great day.
Yeah.